Okay, we're going to cover, I'm going to duplicate some molds, and that one I got to clean up. So we're going to set that over there. We're going to duplicate some molds, or at least I'm going to start the process. This is going to be a two-part video process because I'm still getting stuff for the other half of the process. So I don't need this anymore. That was for cutting a couple molds. So right now I have a couple candle molds that I am going to reproduce. These are my more, I guess, personal favorite will work. For wording wise. Well, actually what I should say is it's not more my favorite, it's more of my biggest pain in the butt to make, so I need more molds of them. So, for instance, I have a tiny little rosebud here. I've started making my figurines to make my molds out of, or make my molds with, I should say. This is a pain to make one at a time. I only have the one mold, so when I'm done, I'm going to have almost 30 of them when I'm done. My say no evil, see no evil, hear no evil ones. Once again, this is my only mold I have of this, and I cannot find this mold anywhere anymore. I'm sure it's out there. I cannot find it though. It's a pain in my butt. So if this mold gets ruined, I'm literally up shit creek, pardon my French, for a candle that is in fairly high demand. And then there comes the thing where, for instance, this mold here, this is Mother Angel. This is one of my favorite molds. Mother Angel holding her baby. It's beautiful. The detail in it is absolutely beautiful. This was a $70 mold. I don't know about the rest of you, but if you're just getting into candle making, you probably ain't going to have $100 to walk out and buy this mold. If anything, you're going to be going out, or I should say, going out and buying a couple of these molds at a time. If you're just starting out, you got limited money, you're going to be going for the most molds you can get at a single time. So that was my most expensive mold that I bought to date. There's another one similar to that one I want to get, but that's $170 mold. Yeah. And that's another thing, candle making. If you're making your own molds already, then there's a whole nother revenue you've got right there. Not just your candles, mold making. So say you got a similar, same or similar design as one person, but your mold is more economical or better quality, and people find that out, they're going to buy your molds. Business 101. Whatever you do, try to stay away from, if you're doing this yourself, try to stay away from making them chintzy. Otherwise, your reputation is ruined. You're screwed. You just ruined your own business. So, to start off, after all that, I'm using, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly. It's, I believe the company name is Illumilite, or Lumilite, I don't know. The particular quote-unquote model I'm using is a Lumires casting resin, I don't know, RC-3. Used in the past, really liked it. It is a two-part solution. You have part A, and part B is the hardener, I believe. So what you'll have is you'll have your two parts when you open up your box. Instructions, they give you a couple measuring cups if you're doing fine-tuned stuff, a couple popsicle sticks for mixing, And here's what I really like about this. So you can either use it and use the little measuring cups for your little stuff, or you can use it by, it's equal parts. You need equal parts of each solution. So if I was doing a big batch of molds for creating figurines, these are both 16 fluid ounces. You can, if you got a big enough container, you can pour both these in there, not worry about it. You know, mix them together really good, pour them into your stuff, your molds or whatever, and you're done. I do not need that big of a batch. This stuff here, it hardens within 5 to 10 minutes. They say on the bottle here, open time, good for 2 minutes. So when you're done with it, always reseal it properly. Otherwise, you're going to ruin your entire solution. So because I'm going to be doing 5 candles, or 5 candle molds for figurines, I am actually going to use a cup and a scale that I have here. Let me make sure it gets into the camera. There, that'll be better for this part here. So first things first, you scale, turn it on, make sure your container is clean, and I will not be using this cup for anything but for this solution ever again. It's a dollar store one. So you'll run into the problem, you know, most likely, well, how do I still get this here, my readout, to say 0? As far as I know, the vast majority of scales these days, especially digital scales, it's got a mode on it called tare, and it puts it to 0. So now when I take this cup off, it reads negative 1.1 ounces. Put the cup back on, 0. So now I know I need 3, 2 is 5, 1.5, 2. I need about 7 ounces roughly. I'm going to go with 8 of material. Actually, we'll go with 7 to see how far we get. So 7 cut in half ends up being 3.5. So I need 3.5 ounces of the clear, part A. Cap back on. You should wear gloves with this. I'm not, and I'm foolish. And now we just go straight to 7. Now that we have first one in for the 5, 6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9, 7 ounces. Cap back on. No longer need to scale. Always read the instructions very carefully. Work in a well ventilated area. This stuff here does heat up to an extent. At least in my mold it did, or in my molds it does, I should say, when you're doing multiple castings in a single mold, basically one right after the other and so what this does, it creates a resin that's kind of like a plastic.
I want to check the back on that.
Alright, nice even color. Now comes the fun part. On your molds, work your way down the side of your mold to reduce air bubbles. So pour it in through the side. And then once you get it fuller, you can set it down and let it go. This stuff peels off very easily. It's very soft material. So now I got my little petite rose. This is going to be a quick little 1/4 of an ounce. Boom. I don't think I'm going to have enough, so I'm just going to pour it into the smaller mold. I wanted to get my angel done as well, but it don't look like it's going to work out. Yep, it wouldn't have worked out. Alright, so there's a little bit left in this cup. I'm going to leave it right there, and let it harden. So as you can see, there's, I don't know if you can actually see, but there's little, I'm looking at little air bubbles in these smaller molds, and something that I do is I give them a tap, try to force those air bubbles up. As you can see, it changes color as it hardens. So this one and this one are hardening very quickly. This one's now hardening quickly. It's almost instantaneous, and it's forcing what little bit of air. Sometimes it forces what little bit of air is in there out. This little mold here, sometimes I have trouble with, and I end up with a piece that I have to modify slightly to get what I want out of it. But for the most part, let's see here. Okay, we've been a couple minutes. Again, 5 to 10 minutes, and you can demold them. All this liquid that's here will turn to this like creamish color. And like I said, I am looking for, what I'm doing with these, of course, I'm recreating my molds, my candle molds. I'm making new ones, especially these owls. These owls, I'm actually going to make like 3 or 4 of these figurines. Because like I said, I cannot find this mold now anywhere. Pain in my butt, but I'm going to make it work. It's also a very beautifully detailed mold. Simple but nice. But yeah, I think this one here I bought from someone. I bought it offline, and I think the person made like a limited supply of them or something. I don't know. When I bought it, I should have bought a couple of them, but I didn't. So now here I am recreating the entire mold. What have we got? Time. I don't know if that clock's working anymore. But anyway, and this material here, let's talk about this material now. So some people use them for making fishing lures. Make fishing lures, model cars, models themselves. Like this one here is a gas station they have pictured. Trees in your living room. Some people use them for pens. You can work it very easily. Like this one here, they're working it in on a lathe. It's very useful stuff. So what I do now, once I have these molds like I've spilt over, and like I said, you can clip it down, you can cut it down. I use a pair of toner clippers, like for instance for this mold here, to clip off the excess, and then you can take a file and you can file it flat so that it will sit in your container or on your table or whatever more evenly. Check these corners. Actually, you can see, for instance, on this owl, I'm going to touch over here. This is already very hard. But I'm going to let them set longer because of the fact that I want to make sure that where it's insulated down in here, around the owl's heads for instance, that it's actually hardened, so it gets left. And like this popsicle stick here, it hasn't hardened on it. Cup, it's starting to harden, and this stuff here, you can peel it out, like this plastic cup here, you can actually peel it out very easily. And I generally clean everything back up that I use with alcohol prep pads. Cleans it up real nice and makes it so I can continue to reuse it without having all this slag, if you will, attached to it. Okay, it's demolding time. Start with a little petite rose. So as I mentioned before, this stuff does heat up, and this is very warm feeling to me right now. Alright. But oh, something I forgot to mention, your molds, you should preheat them to, this is why you read the instructions, in an oven for up to 140 degrees. Now these molds, at least the ones that I get, can take temperatures up to 400 and something degrees. So 140 degrees is really nothing for these. Just make sure that your conventional oven is working properly. So here is the petite rose that I just cast, or whatever it's called these days, I don't know. And very pretty. And I have a little bit of excess on this, on the base. So, Totally Clippers works really good for this part of it. And I'm just going to rough trim it until into a circle. And I will trim this up better later. With a small file. A fingernail file will work just fine. So there's my little petite rose. And I'm going to move the mold out of my way. This here is one of my, if I remember right, this is an owl. And this stuff is not like wax, whereas you have to be extremely careful because of detail work. This here, you can just reach in, grab it, pull it right out. And this here, this is actually very hot feeling. And that came out very nice. I'm actually going to let that cool down before I trim the bottom. But as you can see, nice detail work. How I put my molds together. This one here, there's a little bit of a seam look to it. But I'm alright with that because I can manipulate that. Generally, when you're using a mold for this, you want to make sure that your seam is practically invisible, and that's all on how you put the mold together for being used. Sometimes though, as your mold wears out, because the more you use it, the more the seams show, at least in my experience. And like with wax, clean up some breeze. I better not get my rubber bands mixed up. Put these ones back on this mold. So this one is my little B-skep. Oh, and that's something else too. My cleanup, I use these alcohol prep pads. They work really good for the cleanup with this, when it's still liquid, of course, or only slightly hard. Looking for my seam, there it is. There's another nice one. I'll trim this off after it cools, because that's kind of hot. Chemical reaction, you know, sometimes they create heat, and you gotta be careful. That's part of the reason why they say to wear rubber gloves. Now, also it's been over 15 minutes since I poured these, so I gave them extra time to make sure that they had set properly. Especially with this one here, I wanted this to come out the way I want it to come out. So, work my mold away. So this one here I'm going to be a little bit more careful with, because this one here, like I said, I cannot find this mold anywhere. Carefully, there's the back exposed. Now here comes the front with the eyebrow detail. There it is. And my candles of this actually look very, very similar. Of course, you know, using beeswax, there's variations in color and stuff like that. But that is the detail that I'm looking for. The eyebrows, the beaks, the wings, the feathers, the whole nine, the log details. That came out very nice, and I will trim this down. And this one here, I'll actually use a very fine sandpaper to make it level. But anywho, there that one is. There those are. Owls on a log, this little owl, a bee-skep with the honeybees, petite rose. Also, something to take into consideration is the detail of your mold. So, for instance, this one has much more detail compared to this one. Now this one's got a very rough look for the bees themselves. That was purposely done by the person that designed it. It's got a very rough look. A lot of these molds you'll have, that, you know, candles and molds you create. Some people actually ask you if you carved them yourself. I'm constantly telling them no, I have molds that I work with, because it's easier for me. Because you gotta think, something as detailed as this owl right here, or even this not quite as fine detailed owl, it's gonna take you a while to make, and your candle's gonna end up way more expensive. I like to make economically priced candles. And everything that I have been working with is covered in wax paper, so I can just crinkle it up and throw it away. Here's my cup. More of a, just work up your edges and peel it out, and that cup is nice and clean for the next time's use. Like I said, it comes out like that. My popsicle sticks, I don't tend to peel it off unless, as something on it, you know, something mixed into the poly resin, or casting resin. And that's generally because being wood, sometimes there's little cracks and chips in these, and sometimes it'll end up in your mixture, so this kind of seals the wood. So, I mean, you can use plastic stuff, but I figure why. I have a lot of these, and they're very economical to get a hold of. But anyways, then I go with my alcohol prep pad. And I do a quick swish around, insides, especially the outside, just because dust and stuff in the air. You can see I've got stuff, all of this hair and excess wax, and just by setting it on this table. And, you know, when you got animals, cats, dogs, kids, my nephews are always running around, things tend to get dirty even when they're clean. But anyways, I just wipe them off real quick, and I do have another mold cleaning solution that I use, but hey. But for now, that's just a quick little cleanup prep. And see here, yeah, that's still kind of warm, but I can get some of this excess off here so that I can trim it down more neatly later. Toner clippers. I also use this for trimming my wicks out of the bottom of my off the bottom of my candles, because when I make this into a candle mold, the bottom is actually on top, so it's upside down like this, and then I have my excess wick coming out, trim it down. And toner clippers just work really well for that, or at least work really well for me. Alright, nice little roughly trimmed. There we go. There is the first part of recreating my candle molds. Hope this worked for you. You know, this helps you out in some way. Like I say in a lot of my videos, you know, this my way ain't the only way. This is just what works for me. So, have a good one. Happy figurine / mold making, candle making, all that good stuff. Have a good one.